Good morning. It is Saturday, the 15th of October 2022. Today is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. So, whenever that you watch this reading, whenever it is, it's for you. I would like to ask a favour. If this subject, you know someone who is suffering through miscarriage or the loss of a child, and you find that this video has some helpful information in it, please like and please share this video to people if you know someone who is struggling with this issue right now. I have said on my channel, and maybe I've said it a few times, I don't know, that I have lost many babies in my lifetime through miscarriage and children not surviving birth. I do have 2 children now, but for many years I struggled with repeated losses of pregnancies and children. I wish that I knew then what I know now. However, almost sort of conversely, I'm also glad that I didn't know what I know now, because what were really traumatic events for me were very long lasting. I didn't even realise that I was living in very severe trauma at the time, and it took decades for me to work through, to basically first of all recognise that what I lived through was a trauma, and then to deal with that trauma. I was not ready to face it. The information didn't come to me until around about, I was about 49. So we're talking 7 years. So I'm very early in my spiritual journey. I'm not a seasoned spiritual person. I've learned a lot. I will continue to learn. But today, I wanted to share with you some of the things that I have learned about grief and some of my own life experience to do with my grief surrounding the loss of children. So, we're taught that the grieving process takes around 2 years and you go through certain stages. That isn't necessarily true. Guilt isn't a straight line. You don't start as an emotionally distraught person, and then you work through this emotion and that emotion and the other emotion, and then when you get to the end of it, you've sort of worked through your grief. Grief is not a straight line. You go in and out of grief, and the way we display grief is different for everyone. There's no right and wrong way to be. There's no right and wrong way to behave when you are experiencing the trauma of grief, particularly when it's a child that you have lost. Losing children has got to be one of the most painful experiences. And if you have lost a child, I am sending you good energy. I'm sending you some healing energy. If you've recently had a miscarriage, I am sending you healing energy. I am sending my love out to you in the world. And if you have had an abortion and you are going through the trauma of the end result of that abortion, I am sending you my love through the ether into the universe, and healing energy for you also. There is no judgment here, because we don't need to be judged. Because if we have lost a child for whatever reason and whatever stage, we automatically feel guilty. We automatically reach for reasons why that has happened. And we are conditioned in a way, we have to find answers. So when there are no answers to begin with, we tend to blame ourselves. I did. Is it because I ate something I shouldn't have eaten? Is it because I didn't eat what I should have eaten? Is it because I've done too much today? Is it because I don't deserve this? Is it because I've done something in my life to deserve this? Is it because 20 years ago I said this to someone? Is this karma? It's easier to blame ourselves than it is to accept that what is. So lots of things that we do when we lose a person, in this case, because we're talking about pregnancy, an infant loss awareness day, we can do two things. We can either totally distract ourselves from the grief and therefore we're putting it off, or we can go straight into the grief and cry and shout and scream and blame others or be guilty, and it's all fine. It's all part of working through emotions. The people I'm more concerned about are the ones who don't seem to be dealing with it, seem to be doing other things. And I was one of those people. Grief doesn't go away when the pain of losing a child doesn't go away when you have another child. You just get distracted for 20 years. It doesn't, having a child after miscarriage doesn't take the pain away. It just gives you a distraction. This grief can intrude into every single aspect of your life. You might not be able to sleep. You might not be able to eat. You might avoid people who have children because you don't want to be angry with them for having the audacity to still have children when you have lost yours. You might want to avoid people with children because you feel very intense jealousy that they have the thing that you hold most dear at that moment in time. You might avoid relationships with your friends. You might not want to speak to anybody. You might shut yourself away. You might avoid attending to normal life, staying away from, you might stop doing the housework. You might stop cleaning. Grief is often confused with depression. Grief and depression can be similar, but they are not the same. We can do the same sorts of things that in grief that we do in depression. It doesn't mean that you are depressed. We can refuse to accept that we have lost someone. We might find it hard to communicate our emotions. We might feel ashamed of the natural guilt, anger, bitterness that we feel when we have lost a child or we have miscarried. You might find it difficult to getting back to a sort of sense of purpose in life. I know that when I was losing baby after baby after baby, I felt that I was here as a woman and my job as a woman is to procreate and produce children, and I can't even do that. So I was feeling myself as, how can I put it? I felt like I wasn't a real woman, like I wasn't a proper woman, that I'd failed at being a woman because I couldn't produce a child that was born and that breathed in and out. Know that you are not alone. Miscarriage is very, very common. For miscarriage, it's very common. Losing a child that has been born and lived a life, even if it's a short life, is not so common. I know that people don't know how to react to you, and you know that also if you're struggling with this right now. What you can do is be responsible for yourself, to take care of yourself, to acknowledge your feelings, no matter whether other people think that they are inappropriate displays of feelings or not. You display what you need to display. You need to stay connected. So although the temptation might be there to avoid other people, try and stay connected, even if it's just for a short amount of time, even if it's just for 2 or 3 minutes. A phone call to your mum, your sister, a phone call to your children if you already have children. Speak to friends. Even if the conversation has nothing to do with your present situation, try to have a daily, normal conversation, even if it's about something benign like what you had for tea. Talking of food, you must make sure that you eat healthily. All the things that they tell you to do for depression, you do for grief. You eat well, get out into the fresh air, even if you can only manage it for 10 minutes, do it. Keep to your normal routines. If you have a wash day on a Monday, make sure you do that wash day on a Monday, even if it's just one load. Just keep to your routines, keep to your routines. And most of all, be kind to yourself. Do all the things that they tell you to do if you're suffering from depression. You will feel the loss of a child. Those emotions are intense, and it is a very sad time in a person's life. It can also feel very lonely. You have got a lot of emotions to deal with, and they come in. Sometimes they come in thick and fast, and they can be quite confusing. So, what I do have are 3 acupressure points that you can use to help you. Now, I've made a list here so that I don't go off track. The first one is lung 1, lung point 1. The lung meridian is about grief. Okay, so by pressing this point, it can help relieve heartache. It can relieve sadness, grief, frustration, anger. It can help clear repressed emotions. So if you are like me in your 50s, and it wasn't until you got into your 40s before you started dealing with the trauma of losing children, a child, through miscarriage, through death, whatever reason you lost a child, lung 1 is a really good one to start with. Lung 1 is in where your arms sort of meet the armpit. If you go into the armpit and you count 4 finger widths up, there's a little depression either side here. If you press with your thumbs really hard, it will feel not painful, but it's very uncomfortable. If you massage that area 3 to 5 minutes, that will help you. I tell you what Lung One also does, it can release the tears. So if you're finding it difficult to release the tears, Lung One can help you release the tears. Releasing tears releases the tension, the built up tension and emotion. I needed this 20 odd years ago. It does, don't be surprised if the dam bursts and you spend hours and hours and hours crying. Don't be worried about that. Crying is a good way of releasing tension and emotion. Just keep hold of that. So Lung One, just inside from the arm, up from the armpit, there's a depression here where the arm, sort of in the arm crease. The second one is the governing vessel 24.5, and that's the third eye, and that's just between your eyebrows. Press, release, press, just do like a little wiggle, and you think press, 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 press. This relieves depression, confusion, irritability. It frees the spirit. It also boosts your immunity. When you are in the state of emotional trauma, your immunity levels drop. Very much like if you are a very fearful person. Fearful people tend to have a low immunity system. This helps boost the immunity. It helps relieve depression, feelings of depression. It can relieve irritability. And it can free your spirit. Whenever you feel irritable, press that point. Whenever you feel like something's welling up inside you, press that point. It will help you release the tears. And the last one is known as the Sea of Tranquility, and it's governing vessel 17. And the way to find governing vessel 17 is to find the bottom of the breastbone and to go up 4 finger widths. It's literally right in the middle of your boobs, right in the middle of your chest. There's a tiny little indentation as it turns a corner downwards. It will feel very uncomfortable. Just like Lung One, it will feel uncomfortable. You massage that point 2 or 3 minutes. This relieves nervousness. It relieves frustration and tension. It also relieves chest congestion, helps with insomnia, depression and anxiety. Now, why do you need to relieve chest congestion? I can't speak today, I can't speak. One of the reasons why relieving chest congestion is a good idea is, I don't know about you, but if you've been crying a lot, you get the snotty nose, the eyes start flaring up. This can help sort of the end result of crying a lot. It and also the Sea of Tranquility helps with sleep. If you are experiencing loss, you might be experiencing an issue with not being able to get to sleep. This will help with that. Use these methods. Follow the guidance for depression. Get out in the fresh air, take some exercise, eat properly, eat well, talk to people, stay connected. But most of all, get off social media. When you're on things like Facebook, Instagram, you will see pictures of people's children, people's newborn children, all, everybody posting this happy, shiny life, and you're not feeling it. Stay away from that. Stay away from that. It will only make you feel worse. Do something uplifting. Listen to some music. Read a book. Draw a picture. do something, even if you just want to be on your own and do it. Draw a picture, sort a cupboard out, do something normal. And when you feel that you need to cry, cry. When you feel angry, be angry. When you feel irritable, be irritable, but use these points to help you release the emotion. It doesn't go away overnight. Grief is not a straight line. It isn't. I have sent Reiki to anyone who wishes to receive healing Reiki to alleviate the grief, to help you come to terms with the loss, and to help you recognize that most of all, it isn't your fault. It isn't a punishment. It's not brilliant. And losing a child has got to be up there with the worst things to happen to a person. But to cope with it, you need to stay well physically. Emotionally, you're going to be all over the place. It's going to get worse if you don't take care of your physical health. If you want to receive the Reiki, all you have to do is to be open to receive. Find somewhere quiet to sit. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and sit there for around 20 minutes, and you will receive the Reiki that I've sent to anyone who needs it. I'm going to do a postcard from Spirit. And if you need anyone to talk to, if you are like I was when all this lot happened to me, alone, on your own, you can always reach out to me. My email address is in my blurb about me. When you look at the channel and you click on me, that information is there. I will be happy to help. And it's at times like this when we need community. We need people who've been there. Because miscarriage is not a common thing, but you never hear people really talk about it. You might hear someone say, oh yes, I know I had a miscarriage 10 years ago or 3 years ago, and they go, oh, I'm sorry. And then they change the subject because it's an awkward thing. Even women don't like talking to other women about it. And it's time really that changed, because although it's an horrendous experience, it's valuable to be able to speak to someone who knows what you're going through, who's been through what you're going through. Right, there is only one you. You have a unique path and a special purpose. You're supposed to have specific experiences in this world to meet certain people, but then it is up to you how you live, how awake you choose to be, and how willing you are to grow and strip away what's false. Don't compare yourself to others. It's easy to think a person is happier just because their outside looks good according to society's standards. But you can't know anyone's internal experience. Compare yourself only to your past self. See how far you've come. Don't be distracted by what others are doing or accomplishing. Stay focused on what inspires you. That's how you get successful and find happiness. Want what you have now, not what someone else has. We love you immensely, and know your journey ahead is sparkling with miracles and wondrous things. Trust. Just because your life right now, if you're experiencing this kind of trauma, just because your life right now feels horrific and everybody else seems to be having the time of their lives, doesn't mean that that's forever. Concentrate on getting yourself right. Concentrate, be in grief, yes. Accept and acknowledge the grief, yes. Allow yourself to be hurt, yes, but not at the expense of your physical health, your emotional health and your sleep quality. And like I say, Reiki's there if you want it. My email address is in my blurb about me if you want to get in contact. And if you know someone who you feel this video might be helpful for, please like the video and please share the video. It helps my videos get to more people, and I want to help more people. So take care. Be kind to yourself. Ta-ra.